It's definitely high flying up here.
The sights and sounds of the Western United States.
See, this is a perfect ambience. It couldn't be more perfect.
Celebrating the films.
I gotta make a good ski movie this year. I need a hit, man.
Poetry.
Cattle all is resting easy, yet I just can't sleep tonight.
And community.
I think that we have some things to say
that makes our region so unique in a KCRA3 special. The best of the West.
Tonight we are looking back on a very special KCRA show that aired decades ago called The West. I'm Edie Lambert.
And I'm Golston Dart. Welcome. The show took viewers all across the Western United States to learn more about the people, animals, arts, and wildlife. And tonight, some of our favorite stories of the late 1980s. We start in the Sierra Valley, where one man was on a mission to preserve the vanishing sounds of nature.
You're listening to the sounds of the wild in their most natural state. Unblemished, uninterrupted, unspoiled sounds. No people, no traffic, no man-made noise. Just the sounds of nature.
It's just before sunrise. We're recording the dawn chorus. A lot of swallows around, barn swallows, hearing a grouse, all kinds of water birds, red-winged and yellow-headed blackbirds.
The man recording all those sounds is Bernie Krause. He's a sound junkie, roaming the globe in search of what you and I might call quiet. But to him, it's a virtual symphony of sounds, like wings fluttering and eggs hatching. Bernie likes what he's doing, but there's a more important reason for his work. He's a man with a mission, trying to save all those wonderful sounds of nature before the sounds themselves disappear, before they become extinct.
12 to 15 years ago, I'd work in the field, and I'd work 20, 25 hours and get 15 minutes of usable material. Now it takes me about 500 hours to get the same amount of material.
The microphones Bernie uses are so sensitive you can hear sounds like feet crunching on the gravel. But that's part of the problem. No matter where Bernie goes these days, he records a lot of sound that he can't use, and too much of it is man-made noise.
Noises like this helicopter make it impossible for Bernie to get pure sounds of nature. And since man is conquering so many natural environments in the West, there's barely any truly quiet places left in the West.
The serious encroachment has occurred in the 20th century, and it's increasing at an increasing rate to the point where in the last 40 years, we've done most of the damage.
So what will happen in the next 40 years? That's what Bernie's worried about.
And right now I'm looking for a spot that has real good biological sounds in fresh water. And sometimes you get it and sometimes you don't. Now, when you guys walk, watch what happens. You'll see what fish and reptiles hear from a distance. Oh, this is nice. This is truly nice.
So for now, patience is the key. Bernie has to sit and wait and listen, like he does on this day in the Sierra Valley, where he's trying to record the sounds of spring.
See, this is a perfect ambience. It couldn't be more perfect. The problem is that there are a lot of extraneous sounds in here that we can't use.
Bernie uses state-of-the-art equipment like this underwater microphone, hoping it will pick up the sounds of tadpoles sliding through the water.
It's an underwater microphone called a hydrophone, and it's extremely sensitive. As a matter of fact, if I put this in my bathtub in my apartment, I can hear people talking 3 houses away. It's that sensitive. It's too close to the surface. It needs to be adjusted. I'm hearing all the birds and everything, too.
Bernie's craft is a combination of art and science. The science of gathering potentially extinct sounds, and the art of making a permanent record of what he finds. A permanent record of a disappearing resource, solitude.
And I'm trying to get it so that at least somewhere down the line we'll have this time capsule, a reminder of what things were like at one point. The species are disappearing at a rate of 2 or 3 a day. The rainforests are disappearing at a rate of 100 acres a minute. And we have some serious thinking to do and some serious work to do very quickly if we're going to save ourselves and the planet.
You know, it's interesting to hear those concerns from 3 decades ago, and legitimate concerns. But you know, today we can go out and hear those sounds in these beautiful wildlife refuge areas that we have many of those in this region. And, you know, it just makes you feel a little better.
Well, I think more people are just conscious about it now, and it's thanks to people just like that.
Yeah, very true. Now to a story about hitting the slopes in style. Back in the 1980s, filmmaker Greg Stump was known for his artistic ski films.
Oh, yeah, and we talked to him about his career and how he got started in the business.
Weird, warped, and wild. A style filmmaker Greg Stump is known for.
You can do a focus pull at full telly. It's pretty nice.
We're more into the spontaneous extreme skiing.
Spontaneous explains how Stump got started. In 1983, he thought it would be cool to make a commercial, even though he had never shot a foot of film.
Actually, the first time I even saw a 16mm camera, well, that's not true, but the first time I ever used one was on a Swatch commercial. We'd bid for this commercial and we got it, and we had no experience.
But it worked. From there, he turned to making action sport films, mostly ski movies.
It's basically home movies. We break a lot of rules in filmmaking because we're not aware that they're rules.
Still, Stump didn't blaze the ski movie trail. He took off behind director Warren Miller.
He said something funny to me last year. He said that I was basically trying to thank him for innovating a lot of things. And he sort of stopped me because I was mumbling through my thoughts and said, yeah, it's nice not having to invent the wheel, isn't it? And I thought, yeah, but, you know, we're going to put mags on it, so.
The wheels almost fell off his first few projects until Stump took his crew to the top of the mountain to film The Blizzard of Oz. Featuring gonzo skiers, a helmet camera showing what it's like to move 90 miles an hour on skis, and hard-hitting music, The Blizzard of Oz was Stump's first big hit.
Hollywood has lots of stories of movie moguls discovering stars on street corners, in soda fountains, or even hanging out on the beach. But Greg Stump doesn't look for the stars of his ski movies in posh resorts like Whistler Village. He usually finds them on those steep, bumpy trails that most skiers really didn't want to take.
Danger defines the Greg Stump style. Beyond the edge, action-packed, extreme. Stump skiers and techniques let you feel it all.
When you start with a music base, like, I mean, that's the bed that we start with. When you start putting the pictures to that and the narration to that, and you build off that kind of base, and you're going to have dynamics.
Stump's popularity has taken off from the slopes and is showing up in sales, mostly in mail-order videos. Skiers flock to this little store to buy up all of the product in stock.
You want two? Two?
Yeah.
All right. The other day I had a couple guys from Britain and said, you have Greg Stump videos, you know. He says, we turn London inside out, you know. I'm trying to look for the videos.
Greg's latest film, Dr. Strangeglove, is probably his most controversial. His cult following either loved it or hated it.
We had nude monoskiing. Glenn Plake is in this animation sequence where he's completely butt naked, monoskiing through the desert. It's a satire on our own popularity. I figured I better do it before somebody else did. Some, 14, 15-year-old kids were walking out of the theater going, hey, that stunk and you stink and I'm mad that I paid $8 for this, and they were angry. They were really angry. They didn't get what they wanted. But then there were older people that thought, oh, God, clever, innovative, light, dry, airy. It has a nice bouquet,
The mixed reaction to his last picture hasn't discouraged Greg Stump. He's already started work on his next film.
Damn, should have got him. what's on the drawing board? We're doing a movie this year. We're definitely concentrating on downhill racing, and hopefully some good music from our friends down at Warner Brothers and ZTT over in England. Cook a meal and hopefully it'll come out tasty. Yeah, I burnt the main course last year too, so we've really got to take the cooking analogy further. I gotta make a good ski movie this year. I need a hit, man.
Love seeing all that neon. That takes you right back.
Yeah, he's pretty colorful, but I think the outfits were more colorful.
Yeah, and the early helmet cam before GoPro is very cool to see that pioneering. Greg Stump went on to direct several more films for a total of 11 during his career, and he was inducted into the U.S. Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame in 2019.
Looks like he was having fun all the time. Yeah, well, braving the Alaskan wilderness by plane, the beautiful sights overhead, and why these small planes are so important for everyday life. Welcome back to a KCRA 3 special, Best of the West.
In 1989, we sent a crew to Alaska to explore the sights of the 49th state by plane.
These are images of what may be the only absolutely essential method of travel in the West's largest and most roadless state, Alaska. Go anywhere in Alaska. You'll have a guy at the wheel, 2 wings and an engine, and a close-up look at what makes Alaska go. Sometimes they have wheels, sometimes they have pontoons. Those are called float planes. Sometimes they have both wheels and floats. Those are amphibians. In Alaska, the pilot personalizes service. This lady wanted to keep her feet dry as she boarded her flight.
Thank you.
You're welcome. These images of Alaska's passion for flying come from 2 places. The still photos are from Fred Hirschman's beauty book called Bush Pilots of Alaska. It's a compendium of Alaska's plains and Alaska's exotic landscapes of glaciers, snowfields, mountains, bays, and fishing holes. The video images come from the West's recent trip to Alaska to follow up on the big spill of '89. If you've got a lot of time, take a boat. But in Alaska, where time is a lot of money, even the fishermen take the plane.
They are much more expensive, but grabbing a plane in Alaska is as matter of fact as hailing a cab in any big city. Of course, you're not going to run into any traffic jams out there. You won't be dodging jaywalkers or clunking through potholes. But on an Alaskan air taxi, the weather could change on you in an instant. There is the possibility you'll land on a glacier, and there's always a danger, moose on the runway.
One of the things I find real neat are the eagles. They're such a proud animal, they'll actually try to attack your airplane at times.
Tim Colbath is a first-year Alaskan pilot. He used to fly 737s for U.S. Air in the Eastern Shuttle Corridor. That was all big power, air controllers, and the autopilot. This, as the pilots say, is a complete 180.
It's definitely high flying up here. I mean, the people, one of the things I really enjoy about it is the natives really appreciate your flying. It's not something that they take for granted because it's their mainstream of life. I mean, you haul all their groceries, and that's the only way they get things. It's the only way they can get around, either that or by boat. And a lot of times up here, I've seen seas where they're 10, 12 feet, and you can't get around in a boat very economically or safely, so you got to fly.
Our flight with Tim Colbath out of Homer, Alaska was the sort of thing you expect in Alaska. Dramatic pictures of dramatic landscapes. Meanwhile, a flight out of Cordova featured the other Alaska, the one left off most postcards. That's the Alaska of rain. Pouring down, won't let up, here it comes again, rain.
Is this flying with us?
Sure, you have to fly in it.
Why do you have to?
Well, if you didn't, you'd be sitting on the ground 90% of the time. That's part of the job.
Randy Epperly has been flying in Alaska for 6 summers. In the winter, when there isn't enough daylight to fly, he goes south to California to do corporate flying. He prefers this, even if it is like flying in the shower.
Your head's got to have a swivel on it. You have to watch the back door all the time because the weather can close in behind you. That's why it's important to have adequate survival gear on board. What we carry, I could probably live out here in the woods for 3 months. I've hauled fish, game, you know. Hunters go out and they kill a moose or whatever, you bring the moose back in.
Can you tell me you get a moose in that plane?
Well, it has to be quartered. You can't stick the whole moose in there. But you, yes.
The antlers are there.
And sometimes if it's a record moose, you have a problem getting the antlers in, but you can get them in.
It's a spectacular way to run out for a quart of milk and a loaf of bread. And there are reminders of the risk of flying in Alaska. But the record is very good here, considering there are more licensed pilots in Alaska than in any state in this country or any country on this planet. There's no room here for the weak-stomached, for the passenger who is always reaching for the paper bag. In Alaska, if you want stunning vistas, or if you just need to go somewhere, the job is most likely going to a small plane.
I'm going to tell you what, they have a beautiful view out their office window, but they really were then and still are an essential lifeline for those people up there.
Absolutely, for medical, for groceries, as we heard, and that has remained the same all these decades later.
And for moose. All right. Well, sharing the wisdom of the West through poetry.
Next, we hear from some of the region's cowboy poets who put pencil to paper during their off-season. Welcome back to our KCRA3 special, Best of the West.
Well, there was a recurring guest on the old KCRA3 show, The West, and his name is Wally McRae, and he often shared his cowboy knowledge with viewers through poetry.
The romance of the cowboy life is in the picturesque cattle drive, all those romantic burgers on the hoof, all that picturesque dust. But a cowboy's winter life isn't all that romantic. When it's time to take care of the cattle at 20 below, a modern-day cowboy has to get the hang of letting the truck drive itself, while he dumps out the cow chow. This cowboy is Wally McRae, and his ranch is in Forsyth, Montana, a town too small for most maps. In these winters of 20 to 30 below, Wally McRae pursues the principal passion of cowboy life: saddleback wisdom, roping rhymes, cowboy poetry.
Them tarantulas and scorpions all prance around them bold. But so do them damn rattlesnakes. They make my blood run cold.
Cowboy poetry is so important to Wally McRae, he even shaves for the big recital of the year. That's the annual poetry gathering in Elko, Nevada, where authentic cowboys exchange advice on working a herd and working an audience.
I must have lost my senses as she held me in her clutch. Because, says I, for a big old fat gal, ma'am, you don't sweat all that much.
At this meeting, the great secret of cowboy life is finally out of the closet. Cowboys have been scribbling verse for a century or more, mostly to fulfill the obligation of entertaining each other around the fire on those long nights under the stars.
Don't know why I feel so restless. Moon is shining still and bright, and cattle all is resting easy, yet I just can't sleep tonight.
The business of cowboy poetry is getting to be serious. This is Waddy Mitchell, the poet laureate of Nevada, and this is the high-gloss production of what cowboy life is all about, a bit of video verite to try to make the poetry pay. Wally McRae has published 5 volumes of poetry, and he's a born performer. But back in Forsyth, where he lives, writes, and skips shaving, Wally believes there's a higher purpose to cowboy poetry than just a couplet and a laugh line.
I like people. I mean, most ranchers, most cowboys pride themselves in being uninformed and inarticulate. And I've always resisted that because I think that we have some things to say, and I think that the things we have to say are important and maybe other people should hear them.
To most non-cowboys, the amazing thing isn't so much that authentic cowboy poetry exists, but that there is still an authentic cowboy life here in the West. If you're a fan of Wally McRae, stick around. We'll have more of his poetry and a preview of next week's show when we come back.
And thank you for joining us for this look back at the show we are so proud of, the West. And I think it just shows like good storytelling is timeless.
Yeah.
Those are great stories.
And the West's still out there. Maybe time to get out some Google Maps and plan a trip. Thanks for watching. Good night.